Nancy, I don't know about you, but well, I think I do actually. But tell me, a little bit because I think about the way I grew up. Yes, my mom and dad woke us up for school and we got to school on time, sometimes late, but there wasn't a whole hard structure in terms of meal times and getting up and what you were supposed to do. I think for me personally, the first time I experienced structure on a regular basis was going to boarding school at the age of 10.
Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. And this week I have my friend Tosin. Tosin and I go way back, and she's a homeschool mom. She's a financial advisor. You name it, Tosin has the top. Wears that cap. So I'm happy and excited to have her with me this morning, and we're just going to talk about issues that we deal with as women, as mom, as
Yeah.
every day. So Tosin, welcome. And
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. I'm so excited to be here. I've seen you doing your thing, and we've known each other for a while, so I'm very excited to be a part of this. And thank you for inviting me.
yeah, awesome.
One of the things that Nancy and I have been talking about, we are both moms. We're both moms of multiple children. I've got 3 girls, including a set of twins. Nancy has 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, but she's got a beautiful set of twin girls as well. And managing the home and growing up in an African home and learning how to be a mom who is setting good examples and building structures that help our families or work. We're both working moms as well. Um, it's a challenge if you if you're saying the list. So one of the things Nancy and I have been talking about are ways in which to build structure and put that structure in our households, and use those structures to help our households run efficiently and help our kids understand the systems that we have in place. So we're excited to talk about a few ways that we do that today and really just dig into even biblical ways and biblical truths about building structure in our home.
And if you have any questions that you'd like us to discuss in further videos, just hit it down below and we will talk about it. Tosin and I are both, I could say, diaspora moms, and we were not born here in the US. And so there's a lot of things that we've had to assimilate to, and those are things that we're going to talk about specifically today. Structure. And in the last part video I did, I talked about just establishing a meal plan. So this is kind of like a thread that is continuing, that we talk about how we went about just putting in structure and systems in place that we may not necessarily have grown up with, but it's crucial to raising up children who are thriving in this world that we live in.
Nancy, I don't know about you, but well, I think I do actually. But tell me, a little bit because I think about the way I grew up. Yes, my mom and dad woke us up for school. We got to school on time, sometimes late, but there wasn't a whole hard structure in terms of meal times and getting up and what you were supposed to do. I think for me personally, the first time I experienced
this is something I had to learn. And we grew up, growing up in Gambia, you grew up with house help and you have family members who live. So yes, you're taught how to clean and do all of that, but there's no emphasis on structure because you have somebody else doing it. I tell people even my bed was made for me. So that was never in place. So it's when I came to you talk about boarding school. I didn't go to boarding school. I remember when I went to England to college, and I think that was my first shock because I was late for my classes every single day because my mom wasn't there to wake me up. And up to this day, sometimes the alarm cannot wake me up because I didn't have that. And so I think it was when I moved to the US, got married and started having kids, and always being late for everything. And I realized there has to be a better way. There has to be, I have to do something about this. And I think that was my first real encounter with knowing that this is not what can I do to make life easier and better.
Yeah. One of the things that I realized too that doesn't help is we've got a name for it, right? We call it African time or Black people time. And, it doesn't help, but it's almost like you feel like you're part of a community and it's almost somewhat acceptable when it's called that. But my real problem when you talk about timing being one of them was when my husband said, Tosi, I trust you with a whole lot of things, but I cannot trust you to be on time. And I was like, that's not the kind of reputation I want to have with the one I love.
It stinks, like you said, we call it African time, and so we just excuse it and just learn to live up to it. And it's just not cool. It's not a good example for our kids. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this. This morning was a classic example. Stuff happens and sometimes we get off schedule, but it's just having that system in place and being accountable to something that I think it helps. It eliminates frustration and just helps everybody else be on the same page. Exactly. So,
well, you talk about something like we're throwing that word structure around, and really, what is structure? How would you even define structure for someone who they understand they're struggling with things, but they're not even sure where they're trying to go? So, how do you define structure for yourself?
And to buttress what you just said, I remember one day driving home and I'm like, I need somebody to help me because I could not really articulate what I needed. But I remember driving and thinking, I need somebody to come and help me just have a system. I couldn't explain it, Tosin. So if you're that woman and you're where I was a couple of years ago, that I know I need something to make my household function better. I get you. I understand it. So structure, to explain it, is just having a system. It could be routines. It's just like you already know, you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth. We already have subconsciously, we already have structures in place that are either informally or informally. You know what I mean? You have to wake up, get the kids to school, that kind of thing. So there's some things that are automatic, but there's certain things that you have to be intentional about creating. So in just simple terms, structure is creating a system that helps everything move in order. Just order. That's the word.
I totally agree. My story, when I think back, is I throughout college and different things, I always went back to boarding school. We woke up at 5:30 on time, whether I liked it or not. The bell went off, and some things were expected of you. So I took some of that and going to college and started developing what I would call systems or habits for myself. But my real first challenge, my real major challenge of needing structure was when I became a mom of twins. I had my toddler. She was 2. And then we find out we were having twins, and the twins came home. And Nancy, I don't know about you, but that first week of having the twins, my husband and I barely slept. Like, I would wake up in the middle of the night, feed one, change her diaper, feed the other, change diaper, or hand her over to my husband. He changes the diaper, whatever. We would sleep for about 20 minutes, and you were up again doing the same thing again. And I remember specifically saying, Lord, I'm not going to make it. Like, honestly, if this is how it is, I don't see how I'm going to make it through motherhood when I can't make it through the first week. So you talk about, knowing you needed something. I was desperate. I was like, I need help. If not, this was like survival. So, I understand needing structure. And for me, I look at it like you said, it's a set of plans. It's a set of habits you put in place. And things we just plan ahead of time to make our lives easier, so that when those needs, which we know is going to happen, the kids are going to need to eat, we're going to need to have date night, You know, there's some things you know are going to happen, but if I plan ahead of time for it, then I can make sure that I am not exhausted, I'm not, you know, out of a plan, and I can minimize my stress. It's
Yes.
not perfect, but it's about looking ahead and making sure that we have no worries when it
Right.
comes to our homes being taken care of. So
I
that's really, you know, for me, that's where structure really became a thing for me as a mom and as a wife.
I completely agree. As a mom of twins, I mean, it's wild. I had a 4-year-old, and then you have twins, and they, oh gosh, if you're a mom of twins, you understand how crazy that can get. And initially, I had my mom. My
Okay.
mom was with us for the first few months, and so the blow wasn't too hard in the beginning. But after my mom went, I was like, there is no way I'm going to survive this. No way. Um, so I had to start putting things in place. And as COVID is teaching us all, stuff happens that you did not expect to happen,
That is
that you
true.
see coming. What structure does, it helps when those things happen, it helps you not break down, because then you have, as much as you have to be flexible with it, but you have something in place that
That's right.
so
That's
it's
right. So let's talk I guess more specifically about some of the things that we've put structure around that helps, you know, our families or, you know, our homes run better, or even us personally. Um, I can, you know, I'll throw one in. One of the things you mentioned was the meal plan. That was an awesome video. I've been meal planning for a few years now, but you know, watching that video, you gave me some other ideas in how to, you know, change things up. You know, sometimes we also get in a rut. So one of the things I recognize from that is um, I would make a meal plan and I'll stick to that for months, and my family would get tired of some of the other meals. So I like the way you changed it up, and you said, you know, from one month to the other, you take some of the same meals and then you switch up a few. So that was one of the things that I really enjoyed. And I'll say, if you haven't watched that video, go on Nancy's website or her YouTube channel and watch it. It is totally worth the time. She's also got a meal plan that you can download and change and use for your own as your own template. Um,
yeah.
can you talk about some of the other things that you've done that help you structure your time or your?
Yes. With, just to talk about the meal plan, I found myself like sitting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like, okay, so what are we eating today? Then I realized I don't have this in my pantry. I don't have this in my pantry. And then you have to run to the store. And before you know it, you're eating dinner so late. So that was crucial. But some of the other things is just creating a chore list for my kids.
That's
If
right.
I grew up with having house help and stuff like that. So there was a lot of things that I did not have to do. But living in the US, if we don't have the kids involved and having a structure to do dealing with that, we will suffer from mom burnout.
That is
And a
true.
whole lot of mom resentment comes from that as well. So just creating a chore list for my kids, so they know when we wake up. Um, I have, because of their ages, I have appropriate tasks assigned to each kid, and then there's a little incentive to go with it. And so it's like, you do this, you get this, because my kids are like, so what's in it for me? That's the language they speak. So for right now, that's what I do, and having that list helps them and me. So we have a list. I have pictures because the girls are not very good readers right now. So there's pictures to back it up that this is what you're responsible for.
That's
And
awesome.
lately, Alexa as well. And so it's made it fun because Alexa tells them it's so and so
Ah,
this. So yeah, that's been helpful too.
okay, that's a good one. My kids do, you know, we do keep a chore list. And one of the things I did too, my husband and I found out that you know, yes, you might have chores, but if it's not written down, your kids are fighting over who wants to do what. So one of the things we also did was have a day. So, for example, Monday and Thursdays are my first day. Tuesdays and Fridays are my second day. You know, Wednesdays and Saturdays are my Thursday, and then Sunday is free for all. And what the days do for us is the days give priority on whose chores, whose we circle it around. It also helps with, when it's prayer time or when it's time for something special, that's who gets to choose first. Um, and we go around days like to the point where my kids know, it's my day today. This is what I get to do, and they still lovingly give each other chances that we're there. One of the other things I do in terms of routine, in terms of systems and having structure is the routines we set. So you vary towards it by talking about chore list, but even the routines. So I found myself with my kids. Mine are a little older. I've got 13 and 11-year-olds, and you would still not believe how I would say, "Did you spray your hair? Did you brush your teeth? Did you wash your face? Did you, And I have this set of 10 questions. I found myself, asking over and over. And one of the things I realized a few years ago was I had my routine and I had my list of to-dos for the day, but my kids had no visibility to that. So we sat down once. I created a template of a list of routine that I thought for them, and then I gave them a little bit of freedom because at the age they were, they could do that. And I said, look at this and switch things around a little bit. If you prefer to lay your bed before you get dressed, or you want to get dressed before laying your bed, it's up to you how you switch it around. But these are the 5 to 7 things mommy wants you to do when you wake up, or the 5 to 7 things you need to do before you go to bed as well. And you will not believe how much less stress there is in bedtime or in wake up time. So just having those routines printed out was amazing. And we'll leave templates of these under the videos or on our websites so that you can see some of what we're doing, and hopefully it helps you be able to do the same thing. So do you have routines, some of the systems that you use, Nancy, that can help maybe some of our listeners to understand, how it works in real life?
And like what you said there, the key is being flexible, because just allowing them that little bit of flexibility so that they feel like they're in control a little bit. Yeah. So they already know when you wake up, before we start, like the past few weeks, it's been digital schooling. Yeah. So they know that before digital schooling, when your alarm goes off, I need you to brush your teeth, I need you to go to bed, I need you, Manny, he has to empty the dishwasher, and all of those things. They know that these things have to happen before they start this. And so however you do it, it's up to you. It just needs to get done. And so that has been very helpful for them and for me. And so it just blesses me when Abishai comes in and like, "Mommy, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this." That makes me happy because I'm like, she's getting it. She's getting it. And there's certain days, like you said, you're like, "Have you done this? Have you?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot," because they know there's consequences if they don't follow through. And just having a consequence for it not happening, I think is what has helped it be successful. Because get away with not doing it, they will. I mean, just even as
we're kids, even as adults.
I mean, if I do, why do I have to do it? If I don't have. There's nothing. The consequence of me not doing it, they won't do it. So yes,
that's true. Well, talking about consequences, one of the things you and I had talked about in the past weeks, and I think we enjoyed this together, was I started something. So usually bedtime, timeliness is my strength. I pray that in Jesus' name. But usually with bedtime, our bedtime was 9 o'clock. And I found myself struggling sometimes because, I'd say 8:30 time to pray, but someone's not brushed and they haven't done those things. And I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, I have to go brush. I have to go do this and I have to go do that." And then I find out that we're praying at 9 o'clock. So one of the things I saw, honestly, I wish I could take credit for this, but I saw my husband do it. I was out one night and I came back. We're starting this COVID-19, so a couple of months ago. I came back and it's 8:45. And my girls are running upstairs and said, "Daddy said be upstairs for prayer at 8:45. And they were honoring it. Daddy did not call it 8:45. 8:45, they ran upstairs. I'm like, this is not the response I get. You know what I mean? So I realized that their dad, he's like a military man. Okay? So when daddy says 8:45 and you honor 8:45, you get 9 o'clock to do whatever you want. So this sparked an interest in me, and I said, you know what? I need to have an incentive, and they need to have an incentive as well. Talking about consequences. Consequences or incentives, I think when the kids see the benefit of having routines, they start to own it themselves. So what we started doing is at 8:45, I said, if you can do that, you monitor your time. 8:45, come upstairs, we pray. I promise not to go on a long rant because I can do teachable moments any time of the day. And we would pray from 8:45 to 9 o'clock. But if we were done at 9 o'clock, they got from 9 o'clock to 9:30 as free time. Now it was screen-free time. You could not use your screens, but you could lay in bed quietly and read a book, or you could draw. And my kids loved it. I cannot tell you how much. That when it's 8:45 now, if I'm not ready, they're like, "Mommy, can we do this? We need to pray."
From you, I took that up when you said it. I took it up with my kids, and so I don't like them going to, since COVID-19, they don't have to be up super early. So I like that morning time. I like just having my quiet time to myself. So I like them to have a lie-in. So when you said that, I was like, this makes sense. So at 8:30, I make sure that everything is done, and then they have that free time after 8:30 to do whatever they want in their rooms. And I started doing that, and like I said, they have Alexa, and that for them has been like, this is good, because they realize the quicker they get their stuff done and get to their room, they can spend more time playing games or getting her to read to them. So yeah, 8 o'clock, they're like, okay, mommy, it's time for you to read. It's almost time for us to go brush our teeth. And I'm like, this works. It really, really works. Like, this is my time. Like you said, no screen. Just go into your room, do whatever you want. One of my girls she just likes to design and arrange.
Okay.
Her time to just revamp her room. Every night is a new.
She's redesigning.
Every night she's redesigning, but she's looking forward to that time where I'm not telling her, you have to do this. It's her time. So it's really, really worked. It helped me as well, because now I have that free time after they're in bed for my time.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That's one of the things I think many moms don't maybe see yet is there is an initial investment to planning. You need that time to say, what am I doing this week? What are the kids doing? What meals am I doing? It is an investment. You're going to have to put in maybe 30 minutes to an hour. You have to go look in your pantry to see what you've got so your meal plans make sense, see which meals your family like. But on the back end of it, you get that peace of mind. You get that freedom. You get that alone time that you're looking for. And you can rest and relax and enjoy it.
Payoff is huge, Tosin. I mean, and it's so worth it. If for that mom who's just starting out, it is an initial investment, but the payoff is totally worth it. I cannot stress that enough.
And, I totally agree.
One of the things has been big on my heart, and I think we talked about this briefly, is being consistent with this, because I have been down this path where you start off with full steam and you're doing well, and then you have something throw you off. I'll take this example as this week as an example. It's a holiday. We had Monday. We went to the lake and did stuff. We stayed up late, so it threw off our whole routine. It threw us out, so Monday and Tuesday. And so I just haven't been able to get back on track. And this morning, actually, so when we were supposed to go online, I was like, you just have to, the thing that you've been saying, just practice what you preach. Just continue. Yes, you fall. But like the Bible says, a righteous man falls 7 times and gets back up.
Amen.
So when you fall, and you will get off track. It's not going to be perfect. Just get back up and keep going, even when it's hard, days where you're like, I don't want to do this, just do it anyway. So key. It's really, really key.
I love that you say that, which is it's that sense of forgiving yourself. And these are plans, they're not perfect. We're not trying to portray that we're perfect moms. We fall short a lot of times.
Yes.
But what it does when you have a plan is it helps you get back up, right? And Nancy and I had a plan to do this call today. Nothing was perfect this morning. We pushed it back a little bit, but we got it done. And that's really the key is you're going to get some of these things done. Your family's going to have a meal every night. You're going to do those things, but if you plan ahead, it makes it just a tad bit easier to accomplish and to pick up, when things aren't working or things are going a little slow or things are, you just have an off day or off week.
Yes.
One of the things I would say too is for me, it was crucial that I start to take control of my time, my schedule, my plan, especially as my kids get older, because we're examples and they see. I have to say this personally, for me, the timeliness thing was a big deal, more so when I saw that my kids started seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay, Nancy, like it did not bother me as much. I'll be honest here. I wish I didn't have to put it this way. But my husband would say, you're late. And I said, I'm working on it and I'm fixing it. And truthfully, when we first met, being an hour late did not mean much to me. Nowadays, if I'm 5-10 minutes late, I'm like, oh, that isn't good, right? So I'm not where I used to be, and I'm grateful for that. But when I saw that my kids were seeing this, I started off just telling them, God's transparent with us. I feel like God, our relationship with God, we get to see the good, the bad. The Bible's an example. You see what works and you see what didn't. God doesn't hide anything from us. And one of the foundational things I decided in parenting was to be transparent with my kids. So even when I didn't have it worked out, I remember turning to my kids and saying, we're late. This is bad. This is not good. You don't want to be late. This is not respecting other people's time. Mommy's not doing something good, and I'm trying to fix it, okay? But I don't want you to think this is okay. And I think it starts with just that simple transparency with those around you and with our children, and making sure that they see that even when we have struggles, we're not just accepting them and acting like it's normal. We're dealing with them head on and planning for ways to do that. So let's talk a little bit about timeliness, because I know this is a big one for us women, especially women of color. Okay. How do you work, and I know it's not perfect, but how do you work to make sure that you are trying to get ahead of, being on time and not going to that stereotypical view of, like we said, African time, where it's okay, just 5 minutes late?
And it's been one of my biggest struggle. And like you said, transparency is key. So I raised my stepson, who's now in the military, and he had to go into military life, which is and I always said to him, I'm working on this area. Please be patient with me. I always said that, And I remember the first time he visited, and he was like, if you just took a little bit of time and you prepared ahead, it will help you a whole lot. And then I saw this thing that said, Murphy's Law, prepare for anything that could go wrong. And this challenged my faith, because as a woman of faith, you're like, no, think positive. But I think it's just wise to think, you know what? We live in a fallen world, and things happen that is not part of the plan, because that's what throws us off most of the time. It's not that we don't set off to do it well or whatever. It's just the things that we did not see coming. Or even, and those things will happen. So I sit back and I think, okay, what could happen that would be a challenge, and I prepare for that just in case. Let's say this happened, one child wakes up today and they can't find a shoe. You know what I mean? And that would knock you off for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So I prepare scenarios in head. Like I said, this took a while for me to even start doing this, because it challenged, I didn't want to start thinking negative, but it was just preparing that the things that can come to take you off your routine or your times that you've set. So this help, even if it's 5 minutes here, or 10 minutes here. Just sitting back and thinking, okay, what could happen that might throw me off my plan to be on time? That helped a lot with just claiming that 5 minutes here, 10 minutes, because it's the little things. My keys.
It is.
You can't find your keys, and that kind of thing. So those were things, that is something that helped me claim a little bit of 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, just taking the time ahead of time to prepare.
The plan. Okay. One of the things for me, I think, was also identifying the things we could do ahead of time. and making the kids own that, right? Okay, so I remember when I started saying, pick your outfit for tomorrow. We're gonna pick your clothes for tomorrow, all the way to the underwear, the socks you're wearing, the shoes you're wearing. And my kids would look at me like, why? No surprise there, because part of it was we're homeschoolers, right? I don't have to be at school at 7 a.m. Why am I picking my outfit up? But the truth was, if I set them up the night before, for success, the next morning it was just ready. The second thing they didn't realize was they were forming habits, right? So whether or not they realized the use of it, they were forming habits. So being a homeschooler or not, I want you dressed, ready, because we would have a lot of field trips at 9 o'clock or whatever. So I wanted them ready ahead of time. So what did we start doing? We picked out your clothes. We made a place for everything, right? Your backpack had to be at a certain place, packed with everything in it, ready to go. Your lunch, we started packing our snacks and our fruits ahead of time. I may not pack sandwich in the night before so it won't get soggy, but all the side items and the snacks were packed the night before and placed in the lunch box. We're homeschoolers. My kids had lunch boxes, okay? Let me tell you, they do have lunch boxes because I just needed it to work. So, I say all that to say, make it work for you. Do what you have to do to make it work for you and your family. And don't feel bad. Don't feel shy. Don't feel like, hey, someone else is doing something different. What works for you is what you need to do.
Yes. And it's amazing that little 5 minutes that you claim back, 10 minutes that it's amazing what it will do, what it will do for just your time management in general. So the key word here is just preparing ahead.
Preparing ahead. I totally agree. And then, the last thing I would talk about that somewhat helps me a lot is this idea of a block system or period system. So when I first started homeschooling, especially, I would find that our mornings, ran into our homeschool, right? We could do breakfast while reading, and that ran into sometimes, it ran into all the way to my husband was home and we're still doing schoolwork. And then sometimes I'm doing schoolwork while doing dinner time, and I'm working part-time too during this. So sometimes I'm working while I'm trying to do something, and my day was just melding into each other and I wasn't enjoying it. So I went back to the system of block times because, again, I went back to school. It worked. And you think about how you have periods in school when it's time for biology from 9 to 10, and you're doing nothing else during biology until it's 10 o'clock, then it's math time. And 10 to 11:30 is math time, and you're doing nothing else. And so I had to bring that back into our home, in all honesty, and start to have block times. So what I mean by that is this. In my household, for example, I tried myself to wake up early. So I'm trying to be up between 5:30 and 6. And most days I'm able to do that, and I have my alone time. It's my time with God. After that, I try to exercise as much as I can, and then I wake the kids up between 7 and 7:30. From 7:30 is our morning time. We spend that time. They get dressed. I make breakfast. We sit down. We read our Bible. We do our devotional. By 8:30 to 9 o'clock, we're done with breakfast. We're done with that. 9 o'clock, school starts. There's nothing else. On those days, it's from 9 to about 1 o'clock. We are doing school. We're seated there. We try to break it up, but some days math might run over an hour, but that's fine. From 9 to about 1 o'clock was school time, right? And then if my oldest had extra work, I try to make sure my time with them was done by about 1, latest 2 o'clock. You could have some extra work you had to do, and I would assign that, and they did that on their own. Then from about 2 to about 5 o'clock, I get to spend it doing work and having constructive work. where it was not as interrupted. You know, most of their schoolwork's done. They've got free time. It's not screen time again, but they've got free time. They can be creative. They can draw. They can do the piano. They can, they can play around. And then 5 o'clock, I have alarms for everything on my phone. Okay, it beeps and says there's dinner ready at 5 o'clock. That is my cue to get up and go do the meal that I've prescribed and just quickly put it together because my husband likes dinner at 6, right? So I'm working to get it done at 6. Most days I have it, but there's some days I don't. If 5 o'clock comes and I've got work, I'm calling him on the office saying, "Can you pick up dinner?" Because it's not going to happen by 6. So the block system has helped me to be able to say this time is for this, and my blocks are not too small where there's no flexibility in it, right? I need about 3 to 4 hours to work, so I'm not blocking out 30 minutes just for work where I'm not going to get enough done in there. So my goal is always to block in an amount of time that's reasonable for me to get something, a chunk of something done. Yeah, and that's been working.
Subconsciously, I've been kind of doing that too. So it's like there's a set time, like from 9 to 1 o'clock. Again, it's school time that they can do their schoolwork, and then 1 to 2 we eat lunch, we tidy up, and then they get that block of time between 2 to 4. They can do their own thing, and it's usually art, and that's my time to catch up on emails. And just catch up on work stuff that I need to do on the computer, or sometimes I don't do anything at all. I just sit and I rest.
It's me time.
It's just it's like you said, it's one of my son's teachers said something, and I should have mentioned this earlier because I've developed a really good relationship with her, and she's been awesome in just giving me tips. She said, the school year typically is about 8 months of school. She said they spend the whole month just creating structure with the kids and routines, and get
Wow.
the whole first month. That's all they do, and then the 7 months is when they do actual learning. So the first month is making sure the kids understand from this time to this time, this is what we do. From this time to this time, this is so the block system works.
Yeah.
And unconsciously, it's something that I've been practicing that it's been good for us.
I agree. There's that quote that they say that Abraham Lincoln said. I don't remember it, and I'm probably going to quote it wrong. But he said if he had 8 hours, he was given 8 hours to cut down a tree, he would spend 7 of them sharpening his axe. And I think that just goes back to the fact that the plan and the pre-work is super important. It makes the actual work go easier. And here's a key thing, right? At work, we get it. At work, we get it and we do it. But at home, it's like you have to realize this and make it work for home. But I'm glad we're having this conversation and we're able to talk about this because, going back to the point I always want to make on this channel is the fact that God wants us to win. It says
Yeah.
God wants us to win. I love one of my favorite verses is Matthew 11:28. And if you get a chance to read it in the message version, I'll put it up in this post. But it talks about Jesus saying, if you're weary, if you're tired, if you're burdened, come. He says, walk with me and work with me, and I will give you rest. And he says, I will show you the unforced rhythms of grace. And that is what I would say I have started to enjoy from building structure is this. I can breathe. I can have a moment. I can have me time. You mentioned about me time. Um, and while my days don't necessarily go perfectly, I can still check off some things on my task list that I got done. And so, I'm not ranty and I'm not running myself raggedy and crazy like I used to in the beginning. Because I'm a mom. I can still be a mom. I can still work. I can still, run a blog and do some things and have personal goals while making it work. So, yeah.
I completely agree. Like you said, God wants us to win. I'm also hearing the woman who, is listening to this, and you're like, well, because I used to make this excuse, like, okay, my husband is not helping me with this thing, and and it can be off-putting. You're thinking, oh, but it can be done. What I've seen from my experience is like when you start off, it has a ripple effect on everybody else. So instead of waiting for everybody else to get in line, like you said, God wants us to win. And so it's simply just asking him. And I am, I don't know, when I talk to God, I'm like, God, I did not grow up with this. I'm just like, you have to help me. I need you to help me. And he loves us so much. He meets us where we are.
Yes.
And so you don't have to get this perfect. You don't need somebody else's approval to want life to because that striving, always late, always it wears you out. It really, really wears you out. So you don't need anybody's approval for your self-love. That's the
right.
big point. Self-love. To want your life to flow easier. Just take ownership of it, and God meets you totally where you are. And it's doable. That's all I
That
can
is
say.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that, like I said, it comes to, end of our call today, or our recording today. And it's been such a pleasure talking to you, Nancy. That I come back to say, moms, be encouraged. You can do this. We're regular moms. We're not perfect moms. We're making it work. We're getting a little bit of, downtime, and seeing the benefits of planning ahead. We'll leave some tools on the bottom that you can take and make your own. Please make a comment, leave a comment, ask a question. If you want to follow up, or if you have a specific thing you want us to discuss in the future, let us know. And we will do our best to answer all your questions.
Yes, I am so happy we got this done, Tosin. So yeah, let us know what other topics you would love to see us answer. Like I said, we're just moms on this journey together. We're all learning and growing. And as Tosin is a bit ahead in this mom game than me, so I'm gleaning from her. And so, whatever it is that you can take what works for your family and put it to work. And I can assure you the payoff is amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh.
All right.